There's a reason why Meghan's trailer for With Love Meghan has not dominated the news cycle, because it is literally the exact same thing as the first season. It's literally copy-paste season 1. Shooby-dooby-doo. It's some old-timey song.
Lauren and Chandler, 2 sisters, 2 microphones, 1 brain, and 1 giant delusion that the world was begging for another pop culture podcast. The sea of podcasts is already flooded, and yours is just another body bobbing face down, unnoticed. Lauren with that wandering eye. Even your own face is trying to escape the conversation. And Chandler, serving 5 and dime influencer energy, like a knockoff nobody ordered. And you have the nerve to say Meghan's trailer of With Love Meghan Season 2 isn't dominating the news cycle? What kind of metric is that? Meghan doesn't need to chase headlines. She is the headline. When her trailer dropped, mainstream outlets from People to Deadline to Variety covered it. That's domination. And the way you clap for Taylor showing more ass cheek, like it's some genius marketing strategy, Meghan doesn't need to flash skin to stay relevant. I mean, the 2 of you are talking about her. She's selling elegance, storytelling, and global resonance. Taylor doesn't need that either. So the fact that you're praising women for exposing their bodies while mocking Meghan for keeping it classy tells me everything I need to know about where your taste level sits. On the floor. But let's be real. While you're busy nitpicking Meghan's music choices, your podcast is pulling numbers so small, they couldn't fill the bleachers at a PTA meeting. Meghan whispers and global headlines follow. You 2 scream into microphones, and even the algorithm shrugs. So before you drag her trailer, maybe drag your podcast out of obscurity first. Because right now, the only thing copy and paste about this situation is your own show. Same recycled jokes, same recycled bitterness, and still no audience big enough to notice.
Ooh, News. You heard that right. It is JTB, always school such clowns continue with the same spirit, mate. Now let's talk about Lauren and Chandler, the 2 sisters behind a podcast so irrelevant it's practically begging for a mercy killing. These 2 are out here, week after week, churning out episodes that sound like they were recorded in a broom closet with a microphone from the dollar store. Their show's been on a death spiral since day 1, and now they've decided their golden ticket to relevance is to hitch their rickety wagon to Meghan's star. Spoiler alert, it's not working, and it's pathetic to watch. These 2 psychos behind the mics have nothing fresh to say, so they've resorted to the oldest trick in the book, trashing someone bigger, better, and infinitely more successful than they'll ever be. Meghan, living her best life, minding her own business, and winning at everything she touches, has become their obsession. Why? Because their podcast is a steaming pile of nothing, and they're desperate for clicks. They're not even subtle about it. They're out here recycling the same tired drama from Suits Season 1, glued to their screens like a couple of couch potatoes with no lives, dissecting every move Meghan's ever made, as if their hot takes are going to change the world. Newsflash, ladies. Nobody cares. Let's break this down and really get into the details of what's going on here. Lauren and Chandler's podcast is the kind of train wreck you can't even hate watch because honestly, it's just too boring to even laugh at. It's like listening to 2 high school mean girls gossip about someone they're jealous of, except there's no drama, just endless pettiness. But here's the thing, they're not in high school anymore. They're grown women who should really know better by now. And yet, here we are. Their content is a repetitive loop of whining, shade-throwing and straight-up lies about Meghan, as if that's all they know how to do. All because they seem to think that dragging her name through the mud will magically make their podcast relevant or boost their downloads overnight. It's not just lazy, it's embarrassing to watch, and honestly a little bit sad. They're out here acting like they're Woodward and Bernstein, convinced they're uncovering some grand conspiracy, when really they're just 2 nobodies shouting into the void, hoping someone will care. The obsession with Meghan is so blatant, so over the top, it's almost clinical at this point, like they can't help themselves. These sisters are literally sitting there, rewatching Suits like it's their job, taking notes on every little thing Meghan does, pausing every scene just to nitpick Meghan's performance, her outfits, her hair, her everything. Nothing escapes their criticism. Ooh, look at her in season 1 acting like she's all that. They probably cackle as if Meghan's Rachel Zane wasn't the best thing about that show. They laugh and mock, but deep down you know they're obsessed with every move she makes. They're so deep in their hate watch spiral, So lost in their Meghan fixation, they've forgotten how to have an original thought or a fresh perspective. Instead of coming up with actual content, maybe a hot take on something that hasn't been beaten to death, they just keep circling the same tired topics. They're just rehashing old episodes, pretending it's groundbreaking commentary. But let's be real, it's not. It's just sad and honestly a little desperate. And let's talk about the jealousy. Oh, the jealousy. It's almost palpable, hanging in the air every time they open their mouths. It's dripping from every word they spew, every snide comment and every bitter laugh. Meghan's out there building empires, launching brands and making headlines for all the right reasons, and living a life these two could only dream of, a life filled with luxury, success and freedom. And they can't stand it. They see her thriving, rising above the noise, unbothered and winning, no matter what they say or do. And it eats them alive, fueling their every rant and outburst. So what do? They can't help themselves. They fire up their little podcast and start slinging mud, desperate for attention, hoping some of it sticks, hoping someone will listen and agree. They're not just jealous, they're obsessed, fixated on every move Meghan makes. It's like they've built their entire personalities around hating Meghan, letting her live rent-free in their minds. Every episode is the same garbage. Meghan did this, Meghan did that, Meghan's the worst. It's a broken record. Meanwhile, Meghan's probably sipping tea in Montecito, enjoying the sunshine and peace, not even aware these two exist. That's the real kicker. She's winning, living her best life, and they're losing their minds over it, trapped in their own cycle of envy and obsession. What's even more pathetic is how they think using Meghan's name is going to save their sinking ship. Their podcast is tanking because it's garbage, not because the world hasn't heard their genius yet. They're not talented enough to pull off a comeback, so they're banking on Meghan's star power to get them some attention. It's like watching a couple of kids try to ride the coattails of the cool girl in school, except they're not kids, and this isn't a playground. It's a public embarrassment. They're out here screaming Meghan into the void, thinking it's going to get them downloads, when all it's doing is making them look like desperate wannabes. Let's be real. Their podcast was never good. It's not like they had some golden era and then fell off. From the jump, it's been a mess of bad takes, worse audio, and zero charisma. Lauren and Chandler sound like they're reading from a script written by a Reddit thread, and not even a good one. Their sensational episodes are just rehashed tabloid nonsense, served up with a side of their own bitter commentary. They're not breaking news. They're breaking their own spirits trying to keep up with someone who's light years ahead of them. And the nerve to think they can trash Meghan and come out on top? Please? Meghan's been through worse than two nobodies with a microphone. She's faced actual media empires, royal family drama, and global scrutiny, and she's still standing tall, shining brighter than ever. Lauren and Chandler's little podcast rants aren't even a blip on her radar. They're out here thinking they're delivering knockout punches, but they're just swinging at air. Meghan's too busy winning, launching projects, raising her kids, living her truth, to care about their petty nonsense. And that's what drives them nuts. They can't touch her no matter how much they try. The funniest part, they're not even good at the hate game. If you're going to be a hater, at least be clever about it. These two are so basic they make a pumpkin spice latte look complex. Their critiques are just recycled tabloid headlines with a sprinkle of their own venom. They're not exposing anything. They're just yelling about Meghan to an audience of, what? Their mum and a couple of bots. Their podcast is a graveyard of bad ideas, and they're too delusional to see it. Here's some free advice for Lauren and Chandler. Not that they'll take it, just stop. Seriously, just stop for a second and think about what you're doing. Your podcast is a dumpster fire, and no amount of Meghan bashing is going to save it from burning out. Every episode just adds more fuel to the chaos, and it's honestly exhausting to watch. If you want to be relevant, try coming up with something original for once. Maybe brainstorm ideas that don't involve dragging someone else down. Try having a personality that doesn't revolve around tearing down someone who's clearly out of your league. There's more to life than envy and negativity. Try making content that isn't just a sad cry for attention, or a desperate attempt to stay relevant in a world that's already moved on. Or maybe just quit while you're behind. Sometimes walking away is the smartest move you can make. The world doesn't need another episode of your whiny, jealous rants. People are tuning out, and honestly, who can blame them? Meghan's going to keep winning whether you like it or not. She's not losing sleep over your opinions. She's got the talent, the drive, and the vision to keep soaring, reaching new heights while you're stuck in the same old rut. Meanwhile, you're stuck in your mum's basement, screaming about season 1 of Suits like it's your life's work, instead of moving forward. You're not hurting her. You're just making yourselves look like fools, and the internet never forgets. The only thing sensational about your podcast is how spectacularly it's failing, and how quickly people are losing interest. So do yourselves a favor. Log off, shut down the mics, and find something better to do with your time. There's a whole world out there beyond your studio walls. The world's tired of your nonsense, and Meghan's too busy living her best life to care. Maybe it's time you started living yours too.